Recording in progress.
The meeting of the Fairfax County History Commission Ethnic Committee will now come to order. I'm going to read the script. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate both the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA and the emergency ordinance, this board needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. It's a bit cumbersome, so I ask in advance for your patience. First, because each member of this board is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for all other members. Accordingly, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each board member participating in this meeting to state your name and the location from which you are participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member. Ann Stutz.
I'm here from Fairfax County near Vienna.
Barbara Peters.
Barbara Peters, Annandale, Virginia.
Cheryl Ripetti.
Cheryl Ripetti, Centerville, Virginia.
Phyllis Walker Ford.
Phyllis Walker Ford, Clifton, Virginia.
Tammy Manorino.
Tammy Manorino from Mount Vernon, Virginia.
Sally Lyons.
Sally Lyons, Colchester, Mount Vernon District.
Am I missing anyone?
Did you call Lynn?
Has Lynn come back in? Lynn Garvey Hodge?
No, but you would call her. No, or did you and I missed it?
No, I didn't call her. Ann Barnes. Okay, maybe they'll come back in later. So, Ann Stutz, you are my handoff person. Where am I? I'm going to pass the gavel to Ann.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, so that we can be heard. I move that the History Commission certify for the record that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board.
I second.
And
Oh, right. I'm doing this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
second, I move that the History Commission certify that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for this commission and the public to physically attend this meeting in person, and the usual procedures cannot be implemented safely or practically. As a result, I further move that the FCRHA conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling don't have the number.
I second that.
Hang on for a second, Esther. I can get it. I'll just say it for you.
Just say,
Yeah, it is 1-844-621-3956. And the event number is 129-245-9861.
Thank you. Finally, I move that the history,
Oh, wait,
that's
Oh,
a
Barbara
motion.
seconded.
Barbara seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries. Oh, Lynn's here. Hi.
Hi,
Finally,
I guess
I move
Esther's
that-
got her script, right? Okay.
Finally, I move that the History Commission certify that the matters on its agenda today relate to the COVID-19 emergency itself, are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, and or are statutorily required or necessary to continue operations and the discharge of the History Commission's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibility. So motion?
Who seconds?
A second.
Lynn was the loudest. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and I'll need the gavel back. Thank
Yep.
you. I don't have much voice, but I have a gavel. And we will note that Lynn Garvey Hodge has joined us. Lynn,
Hey
where are
there.
you calling from?
I'm calling from Springfield District of Fairfax County.
Very good. We can hear you clearly. Is there anyone that can't hear? Okay. So I appreciate each of you. There was a little change today, but that's quite all right. Some of you just arrived home and you're trying to get everything done. This will not take long. I sent an email this afternoon late, and I apologize for that. Did you get it?
I did, but I did not
I
know
did.
that there was, did you put us an assignment in there, Esther?
There's always an assignment.
Okay. Oh, man.
Now, I have checked with Pam Gardner again. I sent her a note yesterday saying, can we have those dates for April? Since it's approaching soon, we need to know what's going on. She said she could get the dates from, she could get them for us, but she hadn't yet. Questions for the interviews. I assume I had given those to you before for the supervisors. However, I think I attached them. Do you see that?
I'm trying to find it.
Did I attach?
There's an attachment.
Okay.
So I have this.
Questions for interviews?
It is,
Okay. No,
it's kind of guidelines.
it's separate.
Guidelines, yeah.
Okay, so I will attach those when we get off the call. And then interviewers. How many of you are willing in the middle of the day to come to interview? If
I'm
you are
available.
working, I
I'm
understand.
available. If I'm available, I will.
Okay, is there anyone that's not available? I don't have a date or a time yet.
Talk about, before we commit, talk about where. This is the one that's supposed to be on channel 16, so in person. So
Uh-huh.
those of us who have been vaccinated should feel even more comfortable than before being in that big
Right.
airy building. What worries me and continues to worry me is the very short time frame that we're given. I'm sorry, Jerry Connolly can't be arranged with 2 weeks. I wouldn't
know.
have thought.
No, and that's what I've been
Probably-
trying to pull out of them.
Now have we got, I know somewhere around here is a wish list of who we want to do. And so maybe some people are going to be easier to schedule than others. But I worry about preparation. With April's like next week. though, not that it would be next week because it's not April till Thursday. But I feel like we're almost in a funny chicken and egg thing with this project with Channel 16. They kind of dangle this idea out 1 month ahead when it ideally would take several months to set up.
We feel you. We feel you. And I put some of those feelings out in the last committee meeting because
yes,
we
did.
don't know when it is, what time it is, or anything. And that's the reason why I ask if you're available during the daytime. Now,
Do you-
I know it can vary with your schedule and all, because all of us have things to do.
Do you
So-
think, Esther, do you think that they're just looking for, I mean, this won't be necessarily live. This'll be, they'll record it and play it at their convenience? Is that the idea?
I think that's the idea.
They tape it. So it'll be
Right.
a taped thing. So she's just looking at the calendar at the end of every month and saying, oh, here's a little slot here, you could do it. Here's a little slot here when the studio will be empty. Do you think that's what's happening? Because
Well,
it would be
I have no real gut feeling about this, but at one point she says we have to have a meeting. So evidently they meet and decide the schedule.
and they
so-
just do it 1 month out. It sounds like.
It sounds like, but I'll keep harping on it and see if I can get an idea at least 2 or 3 weeks out.
Could we select some people who are retired or have less scheduling conflicts and issues to start with?
And maybe they want us to prove ourselves and show them some really good stuff so then they can start to count on us or something. I don't
I
know.
think from the history conference, past conferences, they know what we can produce.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they're aware of that. But, you know, when artists are doing things, they're very loose. Okay?
No, I didn't know that.
So you can't really pin an artist down because they can't think of things too far in advance. Right,
But you
Lynn?
know what? A TV studio is so different from that.
I know.
I guess because a lot of it, there's some portion of breaking news, but there's got to be a lot of planned stuff. I just
I know.
feel like I wish Pam would kind of really talk to you and really help us to understand. I don't want to get, I mean, yes, this is so far, this is just the given. And since it's the given, we say, like you just said, Barbara, who are our easiest ones to work with, given
Hanging
that we
fruit.
have a short time frame. And then maybe over time, like when we're in the studio within 5 feet of Pam, we go, what the heck is going on? Okay, that's a plan. I'm good.
Have I given,
sorry.
That was a great plan. I like how it's bulleted and linear and so specific, and that's fabulous.
I think we can carry out that plan.
Yeah, let's do it. Esther and I can. We've winged it.
Yeah, we had a real good time last time. Just
Oh
winging.
yeah.
And the thing that concerns me, she wants the interview questions. I have not given them to her yet, but they put
Doesn't it
them
depend on who
on
we're
the
interviewing?
prompter. What's that?
It depend on who we're interviewing, what questions we're
Well,
asking.
we're doing the former board of supervisor
Yeah, but
members.
yeah, but which, I'm not going to ask Martha Panino, may she rest in peace, if she, about the Virginia trains or something.
Right.
Well,
We each one. I guess what you do is you give her the core questions.
yes,
and
we
you
have
said-
generic questions.
Mhm.
And what we'll do is send them beforehand. But what concerns me is that they put your script on a teleprompter. And when I looked
Yeah,
at that teleprompter while we were doing the history conference, it did not exactly say what I was planning to say.
No, you got to wing it. You got to almost be
Yeah.
prepared to ad lib.
Right, right. So we will have to just swing it like Lynn said.
Wow.
Now, what I had planned to do is for us to go over some best practices that I sent you, the Oral History Association.
Yep, got 'em. That's a nice succinct way to, a lot of these things are 40 pages long.
Right.
This is nice, Esther. This was a good
Well,
selection.
Lynn shared this with me some time ago, and I just pulled out part of it. The interview should be conducted whenever possible in a quiet location. Okay, so if we got the TV studio, that takes care of that.
So you don't have somebody in the background going to the bathroom and calling for the dog.
I know, and there's somebody in your ear with the
stupid earbud. Yeah.
I want you to be aware that you'll need that earbud.
What do they say in the earbud?
They might tell you to speak up or say something, or it's just whatever comes up.
A little bit. We got too much of your back.
It's impromptu, okay?
Yeah.
But you just need to be aware that's part of doing that. I heard noises in that thing when I was on camera from the quiet room. They were talking about another project. So there will be distractions that you'll have to just ignore as you go along. Here goes. Just wing it.
I hardly have good days when I know what I'm supposed to be saying.
Right.
I can relate to that, Barbara.
Okay, so the interviewer should record a lead in at the beginning. So what we want to do is, this is oral history with Fairfax County History Commission, on such and such a date. We'll write something up according to the date. But just like we introduce our meetings, we'll want to introduce what we're doing. Include names, name of the narrator and the interviewer.
And the purpose. The
Yeah.
purpose of you're doing this.
A full date and all that. So you're going to label it. And subject of the recording is oral history. So both parties should agree in advance the length of the interview. When we send out the information to the Board of Supervisors members, previous members, we should tell them that it will be such and such a length.
We know how long it is?
Well, we can determine that.
It's not been determined by Pam?
No.
No, 20, 30
No,
minutes,
I haven't.
I would say, because are they going to be able to edit some of this, Esther?
Yes.
Okay, all right, then yeah. What do you think? You think 20, 30 minutes is probably enough for some of these?
Probably 30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay. I'm going to put a commercial in there.
I listened in the last week to an interview that Naomi did with two previous and the current Mason District Supervisor.
Right.
Nice.
And I mean, it was interesting, and I guess what I would like to suggest is perhaps this might be, well, scheduling wise, it would be a disaster given what we
Yes.
know so far, but it was very interesting because she did 3 people together over the half hour, and let them each have an opportunity to talk about you know, the best and the worst of their experience and times and the county during their era. You know, and I mean, I don't know if that's something we want to consider
Is
grouping
that
some of these people
something
together.
that was done long ago before pandemic?
It was, I want to say this,
Oh, sure.
I'm guessing this was done around 2000.
Okay, now
I don't have a date on it because I couldn't find it, but I didn't really work real hard at it.
pandemic is great, but we have to deal with pandemic now. And we would have to have one person and one interviewer, and they wash down the set between interviews. So we have to deal with the mask until you're ready to speak, that kind of thing. And we would only have one person in at a time. Now, as these things lift, we can make some other choices. Any comments?
I think we should go for the really older people first, who then we know they've already been vaccinated.
And before they die.
That's true.
Well, there you go.
That's a concern for the interviewers.
Well, I'll
Have
tell you
all of them
somebody
been
that
vaccinated?
I'm gonna be vaccinated next week. I'll be all done. So
I'm fully vaccinated.
I'm not.
I think that Jerry Highland would be an awesome person, but you know, I maybe I don't want to step on Sally Lyon's toes. I don't know. Anne, you want to do him? He's yours too, right?
Oh, Anne joined us.
Yeah,
Hi,
Anne,
Anne.
let's hear it.
Hi.
Mark.
Yes, Jerry is, well, he was the one who appointed me to my position here all these years. And then later on, I'm doing Stork, but,
You should take
I've known Jerry since he went into office.
Okay, well, let's think about who we want to interview. Anne, did you get my email?
that's why I finally got logged in here, yes. But I'm not sure what email, some earlier.
Okay, I just sent it this afternoon at 5 something.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one then.
Okay, we're talking about oral history association guidelines, and the section on interviewing is what we're discussing. So we haven't gotten to assignments yet. But certainly if there's a retired supervisor that you would like to interview, we'll take those suggestions. So
Esther, are you
yes,
certain we
Lynn.
can't have more than 2 interviewers under the new guidelines if we have plenty of space in the
Oh,
studio?
Sally's
Sally.
here. Look at Sally. Sally's here. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hi, Sally.
Sally was here before you.
I'm not surprised.
So Sally,
Sally.
you're asking me,
Is it possible to have more than one interviewer? I know the guidelines would keep shifting now. I just wondered with the
well,
size
I
of
think it would be a little confusing to have more than one interviewer.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, because when you go in there, you want to get accustomed to each other, and to add another person might just confuse the brain, because there are going to be enough unknowns.
I was thinking about when we get around to Kathy Hudgens, the person who's way better. I mean, who of all of us knows Reston? Barbara Naif.
Right.
Yeah,
So either she needs to do it all by herself if it's one-on-one, or I'm happy to be part of it. And I don't think that would distract Kathy because she's such a recent retiree.
Agreed.
She knows us both for years and years. So if it's allowed, that would be okay. But I also wouldn't mind just, begging Barbara Naif to go in and do it with her. Let those 2 Reston people talk Reston.
Well, they'd have a good time. You know, I think that's one of the things that we need to take away from this is to look at this as we're making some level of entertainment for ourselves, for them, and for the viewer.
They would have a great time, but Vienna would be utterly ignored, and that's the part I never like.
What did you not like?
Vienna would
ignored.
be
What?
ignored because Vienna is just on the edge of Hunter Mill, so it never gets the the love from the county that we want it to.
Well, the reply I've always gotten when I mention doing something on Vienna, they tell me, oh, they've got their own history group.
I know, they say a lot of things that make us not very important. I'm
Which
used to that. Like saying-
told me hands off of the ones that consider themselves a town.
No, the town is part of the county and we're very proud of that fact. Now, Herndon's another story. Herndon is another story, but we in Vienna, at least in the history community, embrace the county-wide history community.
Okay, but see, I don't know the story.
Well, we'll gossip about that sometime, Esther.
Okay, well, I assumed everything within the county boundaries was a part of the county,
That's right.
but that's not always correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
Esther,
The interviewer's got to be flexible and just be prepared to guide. And you were going to say something.
yes. Well, we were talking about Jerry Highland there for a moment, and then the conversation kind of shifted to something else. I know that Sally is on, and I just wanted to say right now, Sally, I don't see you. I don't see you actually on my screen right now, but I'll give you a call. We can talk about Jerry if you want to. I think you probably know him better than I do, but you need some of the parts on my side of Mount Vernon over here on that road quite well.
Okay, that sounds good. You and Sally can speak on that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what we're doing is discussing interviewing in general. Where did I leave off? Interviewers should be flexible and prepared for the session. You might have to cut the person off politely, depending on the question and the amount of talk that they give us. So you got to be polite, but you've also got to be in charge.
I can't do that.
Did I hear you say you like to do that, Barbara?
I said I can't do that.
You can't do that? Yeah, you could.
I'm trying to get out of having to interview anybody.
Okay. That's fine. if you
Yeah,
want to.
growth moment. I mean, what's we call an AFGE? You've ever heard what an AFGE is? It's an acronym. It stands for another frickin' growth experience, only it's not usually frickin'. You guys haven't heard that
Listen to
before?
Lynn.
Okay. I am way too old for any new growth experiences. Thank you, Lynn.
No, Barbara, you should always grow. Okay. Now,
Osmocote girl.
along with asking open-ended questions and actively listening to the answers, the interviewers should ask follow-up questions. Now, be careful with the follow-up questions. It might bring more than we want within the time limit. So you're just going to have to use your judgment. Let's see, prior agreements. Okay, you will have discussed at the beginning, before it starts, the time length and what you're expecting, and the person that's being interviewed will have had the questions in advance.
And will the interviewer have an opportunity to actually speak and chat with the person that's being interviewed, so they have some rapport or sense of?
Yeah, ahead of
5
time. They
minutes.
should, Barbara. Yeah, they should.
5 minutes would be good.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think that's enough. Yeah, Paul Gilbert and I chit-chatted before we began his.
Okay.
interview.
Okay, just so you're accustomed to the way a person speaks, and if there is a word or a name that you're unfamiliar with, if you need to ask the spelling of that name or something, just do it gently. But I have a feeling we'll just go back and try to figure it out.
You can look up stuff or
Yeah,
call them later.
right. Interviewers should work to achieve a balance between the objectives of the project and the perspectives of their narrators. I keep using narrators. Okay. Be prepared to extend the inquiry beyond the specific focus of the project. So if you got a supervisor who answered all 13 questions lickety split, just pick one and ask for more information.
Amplification.
Yeah. The interviewer should secure a signed legal release, which we do have. The attorneys worked on that and gave it to us. So we will have that. And that's part of what you will speak with the person about in those first few minutes. Get them to sign the release.
Well, I think it's best to provide that to them, like when we provide the questions, like
Okay, and let them
weeks
bring
ahead.
it
I think
signed.
so. I agree,
Okay.
Tammy. I think that's a good,
That's a good
You don't
idea.
want them sitting there reading the release.
The
During the
legalese.
5
Good
minutes
idea.
of, you know,
Yeah, what if they disagree with it?
Right.
yeah.
Then
What if they go,
trouble.
no, I'm not doing that.
Not signing that.
Okay. What if they don't like their interviewer?
Oh my God.
Well,
We're all lovable, not even likable. We're all lovable.
Well, I
They've
think
had to
this,
work with us a long time.
this first group, in that they're retired supervisors, will be professional enough
I think so.
that it will be easy and go smoothly. My concern is that teleprompter having the right words and having them spelled right and in the right order.
I agree.
Yeah.
and that we can read the teleprompter.
That-
Yes, you
Oh,
can.
yeah.
You can.
You'll be able to read.
Yeah, you can. It's actually easy. I found it annoying at first, Barbara, because I don't like to be told what to do. And
Uh-huh.
when you get stuck
I
with the
can
teleprompter.
imagine.
So anyway, I learned to ad lib around it. If
Yes.
there were sentences on there I didn't want to say, I just didn't say them. So nobody knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
But it's
be in
not that-
control.
Not that hard.
Right.
Okay.
So if you feel uncomfortable, just wait until other interviews come up. In other words, don't stress over this. I'm in a spot in my life where I'm not stressing.
Nada.
Okay.
Yep.
So any other suggestions?
Well, I do like the idea of people who are familiar with, if we can make it that each of us focuses on our own district, that will go a long way to having us have a rapport, but we're not, all the districts aren't represented here. So we'll either need to recruit, like I was saying with Barbara Nafe, and she might go for it. She's vaccinated by now. Or we'll have to just, talk to lots of people and understand what the issues are and read all the articles we can find about the individual before we go. I mean, we can go in cold. It's only a half hour out of our lives.
Yes.
If that's
Exactly.
if that's
And
what we're
once they
talking about, we could.
Yeah, and you know what, Ann, once they get going, get going.
I say, okay, so I was feeling really crabby in the beginning, but I think you just call Pam's bluff and say, we are ready. We are ready. Just give us some dates and we'll fill them in.
Right.
And let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Anne. I think it's this chicken and egg problem. And so I would go one step further and I would contact the supervisors you want to interview
Oh,
first. I
Yes.
would pair them up and I would send the questions to them. And then, and say, say to the supervisor, give me a general idea of your availability. And then
Okay.
go back and to channel 16 and say, we're ready.
Well, I'm not sure. Okay, so
I
shall
agree.
can you pull that together in a couple of days since Pam is saying, well, I'm going to give you dates. I'm going to give you dates. Can we whip
I
that?
think we
together?
can. I
Okay.
think we can.
Um,
Lynn and I
all
were supposed to work
because-
on the letter.
Oh, well, it's happened.
When she gives you-
It
Sorry,
doesn't happen.
Esther, when Pam gave you dates, there was also a time, I mean, was it like the entire day? What sort of time block was she also giving you within those days?
There were time blocks, let's say an hour, but you had to allow for the cleanup between.
Mhm.
So you might have had from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, but from 1 to 1:45 is what we would occupy. Does that sound about right, Lynn?
And I think because the studio is almost kind of sacred place to be, I think she kind of does have the right to tell us when available. But I also think, I mean, if it were me and I was going to be asked to interview, I'd want to have some processing time.
Right.
So to think about it. And I'm not sure who mentioned this. Maybe it was you, Ann. Having a sense of talking about the highs and some of the lows, the highlights and some of the challenges. I think right there, you're going to get a whole lot of good information.
But you're right, Lynn. People like some time to think about it. Let's circle back to Tammy's idea of figuring out who our wish list is right now and sending them a letter saying there's some date in the near future when we're going to be told that, and here are the kinds of questions we're going to hear. We could even just send them the generic questions.
Yes.
And then when we realize we've actually got them scheduled, pick some. I mean, they could pick their own answers. When you ask that kind of an open-ended question, like you just said, Lynn, your highs and lows, they pick what they remember and what they're proud of, rather than us having a clue.
Right. Saves us research.
Right.
Yeah, who needs research?
There you go, Tammy. Saves time. I like that. You know who I'd really like to interview is Elaine McConnell, but we can't really do that.
Why?
Oh,
Isn't she deceased?
yeah, she's not
Is
with
she?
us anymore. I
No.
don't think she's with us anymore. No, I do not believe she is.
Yeah.
So,
She's deceased, I believe.
I'm pretty, you know what? Oh, gosh.
I had that in my
They
notes.
recorded. Let me double check that. I'm almost 100% sure.
Yeah, I had that in my notes, that she was. But does everybody know where Channel 16 resides?
no,
Are you familiar?
It's very
If you
east
go
of
to
time.
the government center, the building, the big Taj Mahal building.
Elaine
go
died in
in
2016. What?
2016.
Yeah, she passed.
Thank you, Lynn. Go in to the left, and to the left again, you can walk down some stairs
Mhm.
to the studio. Or you take an elevator, go down one floor, and it's back to the left. Is that pretty much right, Lynn?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's to the left.
You kind of have to go
So-
down and ask sort of where you're going.
Yeah, it's isolated.
Mhm.
So once you go in, if they're doing vaccinations or whatever, you can just walk through and keep going. You don't have to mingle with the crowd. But hopefully it won't be the day that everybody's going to be vaccinated. But we'll wear a mask in. for sure.
Can I throw out a name for a minute, you guys?
Okay.
Some of you have been around long enough to appreciate this. What about Tom Davis?
That was who I was going to suggest too.
Did you
Okay.
did you want him, Barbara? Did you want to do him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I don't care if I'm the person that interviews him, but I think he
Well, I'm
should.
putting your name down, Barbara.
And he's very aligned with your little section of the county, and certainly also with Clifton. He loved Clifton too, but he had he lived.
He lived not far from me. Yes.
Yeah, and didn't he live in Lake Barcroft? I think he lived in Lake Barcroft.
Yes, and his son went to TJ with my kids and played
Oh.
soccer with my kids.
All right. So we got you. Oh, we got Barbara signed up.
Wonderful.
So he lives,
Well, any
he
other suggestions?
Tom lives in, off of Hunter Mill Road now.
Yeah.
And do we have everybody's contact information?
We have contact information for the first group, except for Kathy Hudgens. I got emails from the the supervisor's office.
Would you, so does that mean we have it for Tom?
No,
Okay.
these are
It'd be hard to find.
the
You should-
last 8 or so supervisors that retired.
So Kathy,
Those current.
I bet Barbara is in touch with Kathy because they're kind of neighbors. And
Okay,
so that's good. That's
the other Barbara.
the other Barbara.
Okay,
The two resting girls up there. And then I know Tom is neighbors of next door neighbors of if we have any trouble, which I can't imagine we will. He's next door neighbors of a good friend of mine. So
right.
we can slip it in his door.
okay, I'm making a note.
So who's on our short list for contacting ASAP?
Okay,
I can reach out to Michael Fry. I haven't talked to him about this yet, but he's been traveling a lot, but he does. He serves on the Historic Centerville board with me, so.
Yeah, and he's on the Sully Foundation, Cheryl. And
Yeah.
he would
That's great. I was so hoping somebody would say him.
He'd be really good at it too, because he's got a lot he's proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah, should. He's got more shovels than anybody else in the county, I think.
And he's still a mover and a shaker, really.
Yeah, that
so
animals.
Traveling so much.
Yeah, how's that happen?
Yeah, so I don't know what his travel plans are, because he'll miss a meeting and come back and say he was in Africa or China or someplace.
well, you could just go over there and interview.
There you go.
It's true. Some of this you just is like, do we really need a studio? Okay, but it's good visibility, so yes, we do.
Well, this was a good way to get it recorded.
Exactly.
It's
It's a
true.
wonderful way. It's going to be
Yes.
very high quality.
Yes.
And I'm happy to do Pat Harity, especially because he could talk about his dad.
Oh, that ought to be a conversation.
I think so, because
And
Hey, I
you'd
could
be able to
put one on the
control
end.
time.
What?
You'd be able to control the time.
Put your knee on his throat.
That one could be a special 1-hour episode.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We give him 2 questions. Highlights for you, highlights for your dad. Low lights for you, low lights for your dad. We're all done.
But
Get
I
started.
think all of you would be good, even Barbara Peters. So
Oh, Kate
So-
Hanley. Who?
don't shy away.
Kate was Providence.
I beg your pardon?
I'm looking at Kate I'm just looking at the list of
Kate
all.
Hanley.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kate Hanley. I'd love to do her too.
Kate will be
I-
alive.
I love to do Kate. She got me on the commission.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
All right, so
She and Kathy.
I have one more question and sort of comment, and we don't need to answer this necessarily.
But
do
we
need
might
to
have an
sort of-
answer.
Well, I'm counting on you guys. We have to define how these folks need to be dressed. And that needs to reflect how we do, how corporate do we want to be? How laid back do we want to be? So we might
Well,
want to think about that a little bit.
Certainly, we would want them to dress as they would if they were going to a board meeting, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. And us
we
too.
would also
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. Yeah, that was good, Esther. And of course, I'm picturing Jerry Connolly at one of the board meetings one time when they were getting ready to roll out the anti-mosquito program, and he had one of these giant mosquitoes with a suction cup on it, and he just put it right on his head. It was actually very exciting.
Well, talking about that, I did see Jerry on TV just this week.
Oh,
And I saw that same blue jacket hanging out of the closet behind the hallway that I had seen before. So if they come to the studio, then we have a better chance of controlling the surroundings,
That's a good point.
the visual. So
I've started my control over my surroundings is so bad now that when I give a talk on Zoom, I always show a slide of my dog in the beginning, and I apologize ahead of time that the dog will be barking his head off, and it makes me feel better. It's not very professional, but if Jerry Connolly can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, a lot of people have
I love watching the NewsHour and Lisa Desjardins with the cat lying on the footstool in the background.
She's your neighbor. Did you know that?
Oh,
She
yes.
lives at Lake Barcroft.
Lisa's mother and I have been friends for years and years, and Lisa and my son were very, very close.
Oh,
My
how
oldest.
cute.
So yes, I have known her for many, many years, but it always cracks me up when, they're showing her on the NewsHour and the cat kind of wanders through and hops up on the footstool on the little blanket,
Aw.
well, maybe we won't have anybody bring pets to the studio.
I think that's a definite.
Maybe. But
that would freak out Pam.
Yeah. Well, not just Pam, the other people too. So let's just keep our thinking caps going and jot down whatever notes come to your mind. And I don't think we need to meet again until we can get the dates.
Hang on, if we get the dates, do you want to actually, since we know that next month we will have some dates, do you want to kind of proceed the way that Tammy suggested and say how many people are they able to do in 1 month? Did she say 2, 4? Did she tell us?
It's 4 to 6 on there.
That sounds right.
Oh.
So maybe if we make assignments for people to contact this first group, we'll actually be ready to jump. I mean, it wouldn't be terrible. I'm thinking of what it would be like if you got a email from somebody saying, "Hi, I'm your blah blah blah, and we're doing some oral histories of former supervisors, and we're going to get some dates in April, and we wanted to see if you wanted to be part of it, but we don't know when, and we don't know, we know where, but we don't know when." But maybe getting that as a very first thing gets them thinking. And the worst they could say is, "No, I will never be available," or with COVID, I don't want to do it yet. I mean, but it would at least get us another step, and we could do that like tomorrow rather than.
And if you got an email like that said, "We have no idea when, maybe would you like to?" I mean, would you respond to that?
Well, I think what I would say is, I have proposed your name to be interviewed, and Channel 16, I mean, they if they're anything recent, they understand a little bit what it's like working with Channel 16. I mean, it's a fair question, Barbara. I just think like if Pam gives us the 15th of April and we haven't made any effort
Contact.
and don't even have
Right.
a list to find.
I get it. I get it. But
mean,
I personally would just discard that email.
It
You know,
would seem that the group that contacted me didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Also, an alternative would be this. Let's lay out very specifically who's on our wish list right now so that we know when we get the dates what we're going to do next.
We have a wish list. We just can't put our fingers on it right this minute.
Okay. So, I mean, I just think, if Pam does give you April 15th, we don't necessarily need to meet again.
Right.
Esther just needs to say, Anne, we have dates. You and Barbara figure out what to do with Kathy. Lynn, go call.
And I think I would send it to the whole commission
Okay.
because some of them might be available, make themselves available to interview.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Somebody else I would like to interview if nobody else is interested is Linda Smith.
Yeah. Unless Sue knows her or Mike.
Okay.
Well, Mike Irwin does, but he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'd be happy to do it if he's able to do anything.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if we wanted to reach out like that. I'm fine with that. In fact, I think Mike could probably do a great job of
I have
it.
no idea. And then Sue Kovacs may know him. I don't know. I mean, know her. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, this is all that I had for us to discuss tonight. Any other items you want to put in discussion?
I think just maybe trying to encapsulate as much as we can in the month of April, maybe first part of May, and have at least us know of that time frame, and then see
Right.
what Pam can do to work around that. That gives us a little tighter time, and
Right.
then also we'll need to like if I contact Pat, I have to take into consideration, and he will too with his calendar.
Well,
his
that's
muting
the same
time.
thing for all of us.
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
even though they're
So-
retired, they might be doing things,
Oh, my heavens, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, I'm happy
Phyllis.
to do Sharon too, by the way. I forgot to say that.
I think who else? Mary was also happy to do.
Oh, Mary would be good. Mary would be good also.
Phyllis, you have been silent. I need to hear from you.
Phyllis lady.
I'm here. I'm here.
What is your thought?
I'm gonna ask the two West Springfield students that Mary and I are working with to interview my people.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's good.
My concern is April is a short month. We've got Easter, we've got spring break.
That's true.
So you're probably looking at the last week of April.
But for
That's
some of
the
the
best week.
retirees, that may be perfect because, there's less happening.
It's all one big question mark, Phyllis.
Well, no, what I'm saying is grandparents who have been vaccinated are gonna know when the spring breaks are for their
Oh, yeah.
their grandchildren.
That's
And they're gonna be
true.
spending time.
I was inside with my grandson for the first time in a year on Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Yeah. so,
Nice.
so that's the special time. So,
Yeah.
getting the questions and the release form to them, because the release form has to be signed and in your hand the day that you're actually doing the interview.
Okay.
But, that can be sent out to people well in advance, even
Yes.
before they're scheduled.
Yes. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. It has to be sent out early so that they have time.
Madam Chair, Cheryl, do you have any comments? Cheryl?
You're muted.
I think we're doing as well as we can, given the indeterminacy of Channel 16's schedule. I mean, that they're not saying, oh, here are some dates in April, here are some dates in May, here are some dates in, that would be ideal, where we could then coordinate and schedule. But if we're being doled out these dates, a week or two in advance.
That's cutting it close.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we might have to. I think under those circumstances, I guess it depends on how well you know the person. Like, I don't feel uncomfortable contacting Michael Fry and saying, hey, we might have a date in April. Would you maybe be available? I mean, I don't feel uncomfortable about that because, it's not that.
You know him. You know him.
He knows me, and I know that. Yeah.
Right.
That helps.
Yes.
That helps.
If you know the person, I think we could potentially sort of, do a kind of soft, are you at least around in April at all?
Right.
And have some idea of whether or not, once we have those dates, whether that's a person that we could move quickly on.
Good point.
People that we don't know that well, it might be a little awkward to do a cold call that says, hi, are you planning on being around in April?
We'll just put them on the list for the next group.
Yeah.
So we will plan to badger Channel 16 until we get the dates, and then jump forward from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And maybe she'll have the
Liz,
dates in another day or two, Esther. What may be lucky with that.
Lynn, are you available tomorrow for writing the letter?
Actually, I just had a cancellation.
Oh, put me in.
Yes, let's chat. You tell me when.
Time?
It's spring break for me for my celebrant and stuff, so I
Okay.
have a little
Well,
like.
you set the time.
Want to talk around 10?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, it's a date. So
So
this is the 24th,
until-
right?
until we get that information, I will be thinking of all of you. I hope it happens before our commission meeting,
You mean to pull?
because that's in April. Right,
Well, that's only a couple weeks away.
I know, but it would be better to happen in March than April.
Oh, to have the information? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
that's true. And then, yes, that'd be good, because then it'd be great to have it in time for that first Wednesday. And then
Yes,
we could really, people could say, oh, I'll do her. I'll do her.
yes,
I just saw her the other day. I'll do her.
that would be great. Well, I thank each of you for taking the time to come to this meeting. And I thank Denise for spending her time. I owe her a lot. So
All do.
We all do, yes.
this meeting is
Denise.
adjourned unless we have some other business.
I have a little trivia for y'all. I filed today all of Denise's emails from 2020. I put them in a special little file. Guess how many there were?
580.
No, I think I deleted some, but no.
I've deleted some.
Oh,
You keep in touch with us, Denise. I thought that was cool.
Good work.
well, this has been great. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too.
How is mom, Sally? Sally, how's mom?
She's in Fairfax Rehab.